Hello everyone, Nerdy Animal Lover Hope speaking. So Japan, I was lucky enough to go there with my good friend Vivian. Woo! So the planning process. It may have been long, but dang was it worth it. It all started when I was 6 years old and accidentally watched anime for the first time. In my grandma's basement. And it was then that it kind of all went downhill from there. I became an otaku. But in all seriousness, I have traveled before with my family, but I wanted my first big trip without my parents to be special. It was time. I needed to become a true adult and not have my parents prevent me from getting lost or dying or getting into trouble in general. You'll understand when this series goes on. When my friend Vivian and I were, hanging out, chilling, one day she told me good news and bad news. The good news was she wanted to go on a trip to Japan and she wanted to pop her Japan travel cherry with me. I never felt so special. And the bad news was she was going to study abroad for 3 years. Why? Don't leave me. Who will eat Korean barbecue with me? It was then I realized I had to make the gosh darn best Japan trip ever. Since Vivian was still in school, the month of June was a possibility to go to Japan. But for a girl who's researched about going to Japan for over 3 years and cannot take the heat for the life of her, you can bet what my reply was. No. The reply was no. So we went with May. The jobs were distributed as such. Vivian did the purchasing and booking, and I had to do the planning of the whole trip. I was so excited, I ended up telling everyone. And that was before we had everything planned out. Most people were happy for me, but then one person said something that made me think, well, that's kind of mean, you're doing all the work. Shh. Girl, you don't know what you're talking about. I live for this, and I basically have the freedom to plan my whole trip. Don't take this joy away from me. Fun fact about myself, I slightly enjoy organizing things. Aw, this looks cute. Hope, what do you think about this? Hope? Hope? Okay, ma'am, calm down. All the doors are closed, so we can find your daughter. Don't worry, we'll find her. Is that the girl everyone's been looking for? Wow. Can she work here? As you can see, even as a child, I couldn't stop my urge to organize everything, even if it was toilet paper from a supermarket. After purchasing our plane tickets, we calculated that we had exactly 16 days in Japan. Since Vivian loved most of the things I liked, such as anime, games, animals, food, it was easy peasy lemon squeezy to plan the trip, that is. There was just 2 things. One was we couldn't really go to Disney World because Vivian was never really raised on Disney movies, nor has really watched any. I think she's only watched like 1. So she wouldn't really have a point of going there. I know what you're thinking. Why does she like to torture herself like this? And 2, she really wanted to do something that would make her adrenaline rush. Now, that one was a bit harder since I do not like that stuff. I'm basically Courage the Cowardly Dog for heights and speed. It was going to be pleasant. So I started the schedule planning. And since I've been doing research for years about going to Japan, it was pretty easy. One thing I was hopeful for was if I scheduled certain things on certain days, we'd be able to see something more. For example, if I planned the days we go to shrines and parks on weekends, hopefully we would be able to see festivals and such. Once I was done the basics of the planning, such as where we were going to go and for what reason, Vivian and I then looked at hotels we could possibly book for those days. In the end, Vivian did the final booking. She also did the booking of main attractions we wanted to go to, such as the Ghibli Museum and cafes and such. We then divided the bill equally. If only we knew how many times we would have to divide bills on this trip. I also made sure to write in a tiny book facts about locations, traditions, and social norms there. For example, it is rude to blow your nose in public, and it is socially acceptable here. So, yeah, it was really good to know that. I do not want to assault anyone, going to the country. It also had common Japanese phrases, which really came in handy because in the moment of having to go up to someone, your brain, at least mine, tends to pause and panic and forget everything. So it came in real handy. I recommend anyone to do that while traveling to any place that you do not know. I planned a schedule according to what we wanted to do. So based on where we want to go, for example, we want to go to Dontobori in Osaka. I looked in the area on Google Maps, zoomed out and saw what was around in the area. Then I looked at YouTube videos on travel vloggers and saw what was available in the area. So we would stay in the main area without having to transport too much, so we save money to purchase even more food. Now I know what you all must be thinking, but Hope, what about the adrenaline rush Vivian wanted? Okay, at first Vivian wanted to go water air surfing. Now it was a bit out of the way, but gosh darn it, I would have tried scheduling it, except one important information. I was dedicated to whip out my awesome planning skills for her. But then one important thing she mentioned only at the end was that she did not know how to swim, and asked me if I thought it would have been an issue. Yes, Vivian. Yeah, I believe it would have been an issue. I honestly highly doubted they would have let us go because she didn't know how to swim, and I'm pretty sure them and me did not want Vivian to die on this trip. It would be very difficult for me to explain to her parents how that happened, and I did not want that on my shoulders. So then she recommended the Mario Karts in Tokyo. Only issue is, you need your driver's license, and I did not have one. Now at this moment, anyone would feel frustration, I understand, But Vivian, for someone who doesn't know how to ride a bike, you sure judged me a bit too much about not knowing how to drive. I'm gonna get there, okay? I told you I do not like going fast. In all honesty, this is all my dad's fault. He rented a boat once and traumatized me. Next time, Dad, don't go crazy with the boat super fast. Give me a heart attack. I do not like speed. Never have, never will. So anyways, I was stuck. Vivian gave up, but gosh darn it, I was determined to do this. I had to make the perfect trip before she left to study abroad without me. And I did it. I planned the one thing I never wanted to do. I planned a Ferris wheel ride. Remember how I said I didn't like heights? It's even worse than my fear for speed. But I was stuck because it was the only thing that was doable and fit in our schedule. I told Vivian, it may not be adrenaline rushing for you, but for me it sure as heck will. And she did see that once it happened.